My chosen one, stop for a moment, because what you are about to hear is not ordinary. This is not random. This is not coincidence. This is not just another message scrolling past your eyes. God says, I will never talk to you if you skip now. A big tragedy is coming your way. I am trying to save you from a huge danger. It's very shocking. This is the last time God is warning you. Open this urgently before it's too late. Yes, read that again in your spirit. This is not fear. This is protection. This is not punishment. This is mercy knocking at your door one final time. Right now, there is a storm forming that you cannot see with your physical eyes. It is subtle. It is silent. It is closer than you think. And heaven is not quiet about it. God is speaking because He refuses to let you walk blindly into something that was never meant to destroy you. You almost scrolled. You almost ignored this. You almost said, I'll watch later. But something stopped you. That something is not algorithm. It is divine interruption. There is a pattern around you that has been repeating. A strange tension. A feeling that something is off. Small signs you brushed aside. Conversations that didn't sit right. Sudden delays. Sudden distractions. You thought it was normal life pressure. But in the spiritual realm, alarms have been ringing. God is saying, I am trying to save you from a huge danger. The shocking part, the danger does not look dangerous. It may be connected to a decision you are about to make, a person you are about to trust, a place you are about to go, an agreement you are about to sign. Everything looks fine on the surface, but beneath it, something is misaligned. And this is why the warning is urgent. He is not shouting because he is angry. He is raising his voice because time is sensitive. There is a narrow window right now, a divine pause, a moment where you can shift direction before the impact. If you skip this message, it is not that God will hate you. It is that you are choosing silence over instruction. And when instruction is ignored long enough, heaven goes quiet. This is the last time God is warning you about this specific path. You have felt resistance recently. Doors that were supposed to open didn't. Calls that should have gone through failed. Plans that looked perfect collapsed. You called it bad luck. But what if it was protection? What if what frustrated you actually saved you? The tragedy trying to form is not random chaos. It is a chain reaction. One wrong step leading to another. One small compromise leading to a bigger consequence. And once it begins, it becomes harder to reverse. But listen carefully. It has not happened yet. That is why this message exists. Heaven always whispers before it allows consequences to speak loudly. And right now, God is whispering urgently. Pause. Look again. Pray again. Don't rush. There is a specific area in your life where you are feeling pressure to move fast. Pressure to prove something. Pressure to secure something. Pressure to respond immediately. That pressure is not from God. God moves with clarity, not panic. The enemy moves with urgency, confusion, and emotional intensity. And the tragedy forming around you feeds on rushed decisions. This is why you feel restless. This is why you feel watched in the spiritual sense. This is why you feel like something is about to happen. Because something is about to happen. But it does not have to be destruction. It can be divine redirection. Here is the shocking truth. The tragedy was scheduled. Yes, scheduled. But prayers from your past have created a gap. Your tears from months ago are speaking now. The nights you cried alone are echoing in heaven, and God is stepping in before the final click of consequence. You are not crazy for feeling uneasy. You are discerning. You are not overthinking. You are being alerted. God is saying, I am trying to save you, not from strangers, not from obvious enemies, but from something disguised as opportunity. This could involve money. This could involve travel. This could involve a relationship. This could involve a sudden offer that seems like breakthrough. Be careful. Not everything that shines is divine. Not every open door is from heaven. Some doors are tests to see if you will choose wisdom over excitement. Right now, you are standing at a spiritual intersection. One road looks faster. One road looks easier. One road looks impressive. The other road looks slower, wider, less glamorous. The quieter road is safety. The louder road hides loss. God would rather offend your impatience than attend your disaster. And this is why he says this is urgent. Because once you move, momentum begins. Once you agree, wheels turn. Once you speak yes, systems activate. Pause. Pray tonight before making that next step. Ask clearly, God, is this you? And wait. If there is confusion, delay. If there is pressure, step back. The tragedy loses power the moment you refuse to rush. You are being watched over more than you know. There is angelic protection around you right now. There is intervention happening behind scenes you cannot see. Conversations are being blocked. Setups are being dismantled. Plans that were forming against you are being exposed in the spirit first. But protection works best when you cooperate with it. If you ignore this and move blindly, heaven will not force your will. This is the final warning about this matter, and it is coming from love, not fear. You were meant to prosper. You were meant to rise. You were meant to win. But you must choose wisdom in this moment. Take this seriously. Something shocking was about to unfold, and you were not supposed to know. But now you do. The question is, what will you do with this warning? Beloved listener, what I am about to reveal now goes deeper than you expect. The warning you just heard is not dramatic language. It is spiritual urgency. There is a shift happening around you, and if you are sensitive, you can already feel it in your chest. Something is tightening. Something is pressing. And God is not silent about it. The tragedy that is forming is not loud yet. It is quiet. It is strategic. It is trying to enter your life through something that feels familiar. That is why it is dangerous. When danger looks obvious, you step back. But when it looks comfortable, you walk straight into it. God is saying that someone around you is not what they appear to be. Their words sound supportive. Their tone sounds kind. Your presence feels normal. But their spirit carries confusion. Every time you interact with them, something inside you feels slightly disturbed. You ignored it. You told yourself you were overthinking. But that small discomfort was divine intelligence. There is also a decision hanging over your head. You have been thinking about it constantly. It keeps returning to your mind. Late at night, it replays. Early in the morning, it resurfaces. That repetition is not random. It is a crossroads. If you move too quickly, you will activate a sequence that becomes difficult to undo. Not impossible, but painful. And God does not want you to learn through pain when you can learn through obedience. You have asked God for protection before. You have prayed, Lord, save me from what I cannot see. This is that prayer being answered. Protection sometimes feels like interruption. It feels like delay. It feels like confusion. But it is actually prevention. There is also a financial element attached to this warning. Be careful where you invest your time, your trust, and your resources in the coming days. Not every opportunity is aligned with your destiny. Some offers are distractions designed to drain you before your real breakthrough arrives. You may notice sudden urgency from others. They may say, "Decide now." They may say, "This will last." They may push you to act quickly. But divine opportunities do not fear time. If it is truly from God, it will withstand prayer. It will survive delay. It will not collapse because you took a moment to seek confirmation. God is asking you to slow down, even if everything around you feels fast. And here is something even more serious. The tragedy trying to form is not just physical or financial. It is emotional. It aims to exhaust you, to overwhelm you, to make you question your stability. There is an attack on your peace trying to enter through overcommitment and misplaced trust. You have been strong for everyone else. You have been carrying responsibilities quietly. But right now, heaven is asking you to guard your energy, guard your schedule, guard your circle. You do not need to attend everything. You do not need to answer every call. You do not need to prove your loyalty to people who have not proven their integrity. This message is not here to scare you. It is here to sharpen you. Archangel Michael is standing in the spiritual realm as a warrior of protection. This grace represents defense against unseen forces. And when God releases a final warning, it is not to intimidate you. It is to position you correctly before impact. The enemy's plan only works if you remain unaware. But awareness breaks strategy. You were meant to hear this. And if this message is resonating deeply, if it feels like it is describing your current situation with precision, then engage with it. Like this video so that more souls who are standing at dangerous crossroads can receive their warning in time. Share it with someone who has been acting rushed lately. Comment below and declare that you choose wisdom over impulse. Subscribe to this channel and become part of a community that refuses to walk blindly into traps. When you interact, you amplify protection for others too. There is something powerful about collective awareness. When many people awaken at the same time, confusion loses territory. Right now, take a breath. Think about the one decision you were about to finalize, the one conversation you were about to have, the one commitment you were about to make. Delay it if you can. Pray over it again. Observe reactions carefully. Because here is the truth. Once you step forward without clarity, momentum will carry you further than you intended to go. And turning back later will cost more than waiting now. You are not behind. You are being positioned. You are not losing time. You are gaining safety. In the coming days, watch for a subtle sign. It may be a sudden cancellation, a revealing conversation, a piece of information that surfaces unexpectedly, that will be confirmation that this warning was real. Do not ignore that sign. Protection is active, but obedience completes it. There is more you must understand about what is being blocked on your behalf, and what would have happened if heaven had remained silent. What you are about to hear next will connect every piece together in a way you did not expect. Hold on to your focus, because the deeper layer of this revelation is about to unfold. Faithful soul, now you must understand what was truly about to unfold if this warning had not reached you in time. What I am about to reveal is not imagination. It is insight from the spiritual realm. There was a chain of events forming quietly behind the scenes, and if you had taken that next rushed step, you would have walked straight into a storm designed to shake your stability. The tragedy was not meant to destroy your destiny, but it was meant to delay it severely. It would have drained your confidence. It would have cost you resources. It would have left you questioning your own judgment. And the most dangerous part is that it would have happened gradually, not instantly. You would not have noticed the damage until you were already deep inside it. This is why God said this is the last warning. You see, when heaven repeats itself, it is mercy. But when heaven gives a final alert, it means the window is narrowing. You were about to say yes to something that carried hidden consequences. The surface looked harmless. The proposal seemed logical. The relationship appeared promising. But spiritually, it was misaligned. Archangel Michael has been standing as a defender over your path. His presence in your life is not symbolic. It represents active protection. There are battles you never saw because they were fought before they reached you. There were conversations about you that shifted mysteriously. There were plans that fell apart without explanation. That was not coincidence. That was intervention. If you had moved forward blindly, the impact would have touched 3 areas of your life. First, your peace. Anxiety would have increased. Restlessness would have grown. You would have found yourself constantly trying to fix something that should never have been entered in the first place. Second, your finances or stability would have felt pressure. Unexpected costs, delays, or obligations would have emerged. Third, your relationships would have been strained because stress spreads. And here is what makes it shocking. The tragedy would not have looked dramatic from the outside. Others might have even congratulated you at first. That is how subtle traps work. They appear like advancement before they reveal themselves as burdens. But your past prayers interrupted the timeline. Months ago, you asked God to close doors that were not meant for you. You cried out for clarity. You requested signs. And heaven recorded every word. This warning is a response to that prayer. You are not being punished. You are being preserved. Right now, something has already shifted because you chose to listen instead of scroll away. The moment you gave attention to this message, the trajectory began to change. Awareness disrupts danger. Discernment weakens deception. However, you must cooperate fully. Do not test the warning. Do not think, maybe it will be different for me. Pride has led many into unnecessary pain. Wisdom listens the first time. There is also a deeper spiritual layer. The enemy understood that your next season carries growth, expansion, elevation. So the plan was not to stop you permanently, but to exhaust you before you arrive. Fatigue makes people doubt their calling. Disappointment makes people shrink their vision. The tragedy was designed to shrink you. But you are not meant to shrink. You are meant to rise with clarity. In the coming days, pay attention to dreams. Pay attention to sudden insights. God may confirm this warning through subtle impressions. If something feels off-trusted, if peace disappears when you think about a certain move, that is information. Archangel Michael's protective energy works strongest when you choose obedience. Protection is partnership. Heaven guards, but you decide. Let this be the moment you draw a line. Say within yourself, I will not move without clarity. I will not rush because of pressure. I will not ignore discomfort in my spirit. Because this was serious. This was closer than you think. And it is only by grace that you are hearing this before consequences begin. Now, seal this warning with faith. Type I choose divine protection in the comments if this message has awakened your discernment. Blessing code 314 is being released over those who receive this correction with humility. The number 314 symbolizes divine covering and stabilized direction. As you declare it, you are aligning yourself with preserved pathways and redirected outcomes. What was meant to disturb you is dissolving. What was meant to confuse you is clearing. And now, as this revelation settles into your spirit, understand something powerful. When you respond to warnings like this, you become a light for others standing at dangerous intersections. If this message protected you, imagine how many others are about to step into silent traps without guidance. You can become part of that rescue. When you release a super thanks, join the membership, or so through the PayPal link in the description. You are not funding a channel. You are helping heaven broadcast urgent mercy to souls who are seconds away from making irreversible decisions. Scripture says, "I will rebuke the devourer for your sake," and today that promise is speaking directly over you as a living covenant. I am asking you to act as someone who understands the weight of this moment. Do not hesitate when God nudges you to support the spreading of His warnings. This is not donation. This is participation in deliverance. As you sow, you activate harvest. As you release, heaven responds. Those who stand with this mission will stand under unusual protection. That is not poetry. That is principle. Obey the prompting. Strengthen the message. Expand the reach. And watch how God stabilizes your path in return. Steady your heart now, because what you are about to understand will explain why the pressure around you suddenly intensified before this warning arrived. De-escalation was not random. Whenever destiny is close, distraction becomes aggressive. Whenever breakthrough approaches, interference tries to appear urgent. What you felt recently was not weakness. It was spiritual resistance reacting to your growth. There was a precise moment scheduled where you would have committed to something misaligned. It might have seemed small at first. A signature, a promise, a verbal agreement, a decision made in emotion. But in the unseen realm, that moment was marked. If completed, it would have created a door that required significant struggle to close. God intervened before the lock turned. You must understand that divine protection often feels like inconvenience. The delay you complained about was a shield. The confusion you felt was a warning signal. The sudden shift in someone's behavior was exposure. Heaven will rearrange circumstances to guard you, even if it disrupts your comfort. Think back carefully. There were subtle red flags, a tone that changed unexpectedly, information that did not fully add up, a detail that seemed inconsistent. You noticed it briefly, but you brushed it aside because you wanted progress. That desire for progress is not wrong, but progress without alignment becomes pressure. Archangel Michael stands in Scripture and spiritual symbolism as a guardian of territories and destinies. When protection is activated through him, it often manifests as conflict before clarity. You may have noticed tension rising around you. Small misunderstandings, delays, friction. That friction was not meant to push you forward. It was meant to slow you down. There is something else you need to grasp. The tragedy forming was not only external, it was internal erosion. If you had entered that situation, your confidence would have been tested repeatedly. You would have begun doubting your discernment. You would have questioned whether you could trust your own instincts. That inner instability is more dangerous than visible loss. God is not only protecting your resources, He is protecting your mind. Because once your mind is shaken, your decisions follow that instability. Right now, clarity is returning. You may already feel a subtle shift as you listen. A realization forming. A name surfacing in your thoughts. A specific scenario becoming obvious. That is not imagination. That is confirmation. You are being redirected. The coming days will reveal something that makes this warning undeniable. It might be a hidden truth surfacing. It might be a sudden cancellation that feels disappointing at first but later makes sense. It might be someone showing their true intentions unexpectedly. When it happens, do not react emotionally. Observe quietly. That revelation will be proof that heaven stepped in. There is also a lesson embedded in this moment. Discernment must become a lifestyle, not an emergency tool. You cannot wait for last-minute warnings every time. This experience is training you to slow down automatically when pressure increases. Pressure is not always an indicator of importance. Sometimes it is a sign of manipulation. You are entering a season where your choices will carry heavier impact. That is why this correction came before expansion. God does not elevate without stabilizing first. What is coming ahead requires maturity in decision-making. You cannot afford impulsive agreements in your next level. There is a person watching your movements closely. Not in a harmful sense necessarily, but in a strategic sense. They observe how you respond under stress. They analyze your patterns. If you had reacted impulsively in this situation, it would have influenced how they position themselves around you later. Your restraint now is shaping future respect. Silence can be power. Delay can be wisdom. Refusal can be protection. You may feel embarrassed that you almost moved too quickly. Release that shame. Awareness is growth. Even considering correction shows humility. Many ignore warnings because pride refuses to admit vulnerability. You chose to listen. That choice matters more than you realize. In the spiritual realm, timing is everything. A decision made 1 week later can produce a completely different outcome than one made in haste. The enemy relies on urgency. God operates in precision. Let precision guide you. Before responding to anything significant this week, create space. Pray. Reflect. Seek counsel if necessary. If someone resists your need for time, that resistance itself is information. Remember, destiny is not lost by waiting. It is often lost by rushing. The tragedy that was forming is weakening. But do not relax into carelessness. Remain alert. Not fearful but aware. There is a difference. Fear panics. Awareness observes. You are not in danger right now because you paused. But had you ignored the whisper, the story would have unfolded differently. And there is still more you need to understand about who was indirectly connected to this situation and why this warning was described as urgent rather than optional. The next layer of revelation will bring even sharper clarity about the human element involved and how to navigate it without creating unnecessary conflict. Listen closely now, because this layer of revelation involves people, and when people are involved, emotions become complicated. The urgency of this warning was not only about an event. It was about influence. Someone within your circle carries an energy that does not align with your future. They may not even be fully aware of it themselves, but their instability has the potential to destabilize you if you attach yourself too closely to their plans. This is delicate. Not everyone around you is malicious. Some are simply misguided. Some operate from insecurity. Some are driven by fear, ambition, or hidden competition. And when your path begins to elevate, hidden competition becomes subtle sabotage. You may have noticed small comments that felt slightly undermining. Advice that sounded helpful but created confusion. Encouragement that felt forced. Pay attention to how your spirit reacts, not just how your ears interpret words. The tragedy that was forming at a human gateway. A conversation would have led to agreement. Agreement would have led to commitment. Commitment would have led to entanglement. And entanglement would have made separation difficult without emotional fallout. God intervened before attachment deepened. Here is a reason the warning felt intense. If the situation were minor, heaven would have allowed you to learn through experience. But this carried long-term implications. It had the potential to affect your direction for months, even years. Archangel Michael's protective presence operates strongly when relational boundaries are tested. Protection is not only about visible threats. It is about shielding destiny from misalignment. When you begin stepping into a higher season, certain relationships naturally feel strain. That strain is not always conflict. Sometimes it is simply incompatibility with your next level. You not feel guilty for outgrowing environments. You not feel obligated to carry people who resist growth. You are not responsible for saving everyone. The human element of this warning requires wisdom. You do not need dramatic confrontation. You do not need public separation. What you need is internal clarity. Adjust access quietly. Reduce unnecessary disclosure. Share less about your plans. Observe more than you speak. When you speak less, people reveal more. There is also a pattern of emotional pressure that was being applied to you. Someone may have subtly made you feel responsible for their progress. They may have implied that your decision affects their stability. That emotional weight is not yours to carry. True partnerships respect boundaries. Manipulation disguises dependency as loyalty. If you had moved forward under emotional pressure, resentment would have grown later. You would have felt trapped between compassion and self-preservation. That internal conflict drains peace. God is protecting your emotional clarity. Right now, reflect on one specific individual whose presence feels slightly heavy. You do not need to cut them off abruptly, but you must reposition them in your life. Not everyone deserves front row access to your decisions. There is also a hidden factor you have not considered. Someone outside your immediate circle is observing how you handle this situation. This person holds influence over a future opportunity connected to your growth. Your discernment now is silently building credibility. If you demonstrate wisdom under pressure, doors will open later that you did not expect. Your restraint is being noticed. The tragedy that was approaching would have made you appear unstable in the eyes of that observer. It would have created an impression of impulsiveness. But by pausing, you are shaping perception in your favor. Everything is connected. Even delays serve alignment. In the coming days, communication may shift unexpectedly. Someone may distance themselves. Someone may react strangely to your hesitation. Do not panic. A reaction confirms the misalignment. If someone becomes irritated because you requested time to think, it reveals their urgency was self-serving. Peace will feel stronger when you create space. You might feel lonely for a moment as you reposition boundaries. That loneliness is temporary. It is the space between old alignment and new alignment. You not rush to fill it. God removes before he replaces. Archangel Michael's energy in this season represents cutting cords that were forming prematurely. That cutting may feel sharp at first, but it prevents deeper wounds later. Trust the discomfort of adjustment over the pain of entanglement. You were close to stepping into something that would have looked successful outwardly, but felt suffocating inwardly. God chose your peace over appearance. He chose your long-term stability over short-term validation. There is maturity developing in you right now. A quieter confidence, a slower response, a deeper evaluation. This is growth. The urgency of the initial warning is settling into clarity. The danger is weakening because you are cooperating. But there is still a final dimension you must understand about timing, because what almost happened was synchronized with something else approaching your life. And that synchronization is why this intervention was described as the last warning rather than a gentle suggestion. Pay attention now, because timing is the hidden thread weaving through everything you have heard so far. The reason this warning was described as urgent is not only because of the decision itself, but because of what is scheduled to arrive in your life soon. There is an opportunity approaching that carries genuine elevation. It carries expansion, visibility, and increase. And the tragedy that was forming would have collided directly with that opportunity, weakening your ability to step into it fully. You were about to entangle yourself in something that would consume your focus right when clarity would be required. Imagine preparing for a major breakthrough while managing unnecessary stress at the same time. Your energy would have been divided, your attention fragmented, and when destiny requires full alignment, fragmentation becomes costly. This is why heaven intervened before both events overlapped. There is a window opening ahead of you. It may appear in the form of collaboration, promotion, relocation, or strategic connection, but it demands mental sharpness and emotional availability. If you had carried the weight of the previous misalignment into that window, you would not have recognized the true value of what was being offered. Timing determines impact. Archangel Michael's presence in your life during this period is not accidental. Protection often intensifies before promotion. In spiritual battles, the fiercest resistance comes before visible advancement. The urgency you felt was resistance reacting to your proximity to elevation. There is also a financial component to this upcoming opportunity. Something stable and long-term is forming, but stability requires clean foundations. If your foundation had been cluttered with rushed agreements or strained relationships, cracks would have appeared under pressure. God is cleaning your foundation. Right now, you may not see the full picture. You may even feel temporarily stalled. But a stall is not failure. It is calibration. Think of an archer pulling an arrow back before release. The backward motion looks like delay, but it creates momentum. You are being pulled back to be released forward, with precision. Be careful in the next few days not to let frustration cloud your gratitude. Gratitude sharpens discernment. Frustration dulls it. The enemy would love for you to misinterpret protection as loss. Do not fall into that mindset. You were saved from something draining so that you can step into something empowering. You may begin to notice subtle confirmations that reinforce this message. A sudden clarity about someone's true motives. An unexpected piece of information that changes your perspective. A delay that reveals hidden flaws. These confirmations are gentle reminders that the warning was real and necessary. If this message is opening your eyes, if it is aligning with experiences you are currently navigating, then engage with it actively. Share this video with someone who hath been standing at a pressured crossroads. Like it so that this message reaches those who are seconds away from impulsive decisions. Comment below and declare that you are choosing divine timing over emotional urgency. Subscribe to this channel and become part of a community that values discernment and spiritual awareness. Your interaction amplifies wisdom for others who need it just as urgently as you did. There is power in collective awakening. Where one person pauses, it protects them. When many pause, it shifts environments. You are being trained to recognize patterns before they escalate. This is maturity. Instead of learning through damage, you are learning through insight. That is growth. Now understand something deeper. The opportunity approaching your life will test your readiness. It will not shout loudly at first. It will appear subtle, even ordinary, but it carries long-term impact. Only those who are not entangled in unnecessary chaos will recognize it quickly. Clear your schedule where possible. Simplify your commitments. Reduce distractions. When the right moment arrives, you must have space to say yes with confidence. The tragedy that almost formed would have consumed that space. It is dissolving now because you responded. However, do not relax into complacency. Protection does not eliminate responsibility. Continue observing. Continue praying. Continue evaluating motives carefully. The next layer of revelation will help you understand how to position yourself mentally and spiritually so that when the true opportunity arrives, you move with certainty instead of hesitation. What is coming requires boldness, but boldness built on discernment, not impulse. And the distinction will determine whether you step into expansion smoothly or with struggle. Take a deep breath and steady your thoughts, because now we are entering the dimension of positioning. Protection has already begun working in your favor. The trap that was forming is weakening. But avoidance alone is not enough. You must now reposition your mindset so that when the genuine opportunity arrives, you recognize it without hesitation. The greatest mistake after receiving a warning is overcorrection. Some people become so cautious that they close every door. That is not wisdom. That is fear disguised as discernment. God is not asking you to withdraw from life. He is asking you to move with spiritual intelligence. You were spared from entanglement so that your perception remains sharp. In the coming days, you will feel a difference in your internal atmosphere. A quiet clarity, a subtle strengthening of confidence. This is not arrogance. It is alignment. When misalignment is removed, energy returns. When confusion lifts, focus sharpens. Archangel Michael's role in this season is not only defensive but strategic. Defense prevented harm. Strategy will guide advancement. Protection without positioning leads to stagnation. But protection combined with preparation leads to elevation. Here is a conversation approaching that will require you to speak with calm authority. Previously, you might have responded emotionally or impulsively, and now you are being trained to respond with balance. Listen more than you speak. Ask questions before agreeing. Observe body language. Notice tone shifts. The details will reveal more than the words themselves. This is not paranoia. This is awareness. You are entering a season where your discernment will become one of your strongest assets. People will begin to sense that you are not easily manipulated. That quiet strength will change how they approach you. Some will respect it. Others may withdraw. Let them. Not everyone is meant to walk into your next chapter. There is also something shifting within your spiritual discipline. You may feel drawn to pray more intentionally. You may feel prompted to spend quiet time reflecting. Do not ignore that urge. Clarity grows in stillness. Noise cloud the judgment. The tragedy that almost unfolded would have filled your life with unnecessary noise. Arguments, clarifications, emotional repair. Instead, you now have space. Use that space wisely. Begin reviewing your goals, not the ones shaped by external pressure, but the ones rooted in your calling. What truly aligns with your long-term vision? What drains you? What energizes you? This is the moment to refine direction. There is an upcoming alignment that will feel peaceful, not pressured. That is how you will recognize it. It will not rush you. It will not manipulate your emotions. It will allow time for confirmation. When you encounter it, you will notice the difference immediately. Peace is the indicator. You may also begin noticing that certain people lose access to you naturally. Communication slows. Invitations decrease. Interaction fades. Do not chase what is fading. When alignment shifts, separation often happens quietly. Trust the quiet. The enemy's previous strategy relied on speed. Speed creates mistakes. Slowness creates mastery. Mastery is what your next level requires. Your financial decisions will also demand maturity. Review contracts carefully. Reevaluate spending habits. Do not commit resources based on excitement alone. If something feels urgent, pause. Urgency without clarity is rarely divine. You are being shaped into someone who moves deliberately. There is strength forming in your restraint. That restraint is not weakness. It is power under control. In the spiritual realm, Archangel Michael symbolizes victory over chaos. Chaos attempted to surround your path, but order is being restored. You will begin to notice smoother conversations, clearer signals, stronger intuition. However, do not expect applause for your wisdom. Discernment is often quiet. The reward comes later, when others realize you avoided what trapped them. Stay humble. Do not announce every boundary you create. Let your actions communicate change. Consistency will reinforce respect. The opportunity approaching your life will require confidence without aggression. You must know your value without needing validation. A balance is forming now. The warning you received was severe because the consequences would have been heavy. But the fact that you listen proves growth. Growth is what unlocks higher doors. In the days ahead, there will be a moment of confirmation that makes everything clear. A statement someone makes, a truth that surfaces, a realization that clicks suddenly. When it happens, you will understand why urgency was necessary. Prepare yourself mentally for that confirmation. Do not react with anger. Respond with gratitude for protection. You were spared for a reason, and there is still a deeper revelation about how this experience is reshaping your spiritual authority and why the next phase will require not only discernment, but bold declaration. Strong-hearted one, what is happening now is bigger than a single avoided mistake. This experience is activating spiritual authority within you. When you respond correctly to a warning, something shifts in the unseen realm. You are no longer just protected. You become positioned as someone who can detect, discern, and declare. The tragedy that was forming has not only been weakened, it has been exposed. Exposure changes power dynamics. What operates in secrecy thrives. What is brought into awareness loses strength. Because you chose to listen, you interrupted a cycle that may have repeated patterns from your past. Yes, this was not the first time a similar situation tried to form around you. There were previous seasons where you moved too quickly. Times when emotional pressure influenced decisions. Moments when excitement overshadowed caution. Those experiences were not failures. They were lessons. But this time, you broke the pattern before it completed. That is growth. Archangel Michael's presence in your life during this period represents more than defense. It represents the cutting of recurring cycles. In spiritual symbolism, he stands with a sword not only to fight external enemies, but to sever unhealthy patterns that attempt to follow you into new seasons. The urgency of this message was directly connected to a generational or repeated pattern. Something that has tried to delay you before was attempting to re-enter your life through a different doorway. It looked new, but it carried old energy. You recognized it in time. And now, your authority increases. Authority is not loud. It is not aggressive. It is a calm knowing. It is the ability to say no without guilt. It is the strength to pause when others rush. It is the discipline to wait for peace before committing. You are stepping into that level. In the coming weeks, someone may approach you with an opportunity that resembles the one you just avoided. But this time, the difference will be obvious. The alignment will feel clean. The communication will be transparent. There will be no hidden pressure. Discernment will feel easier because you exercised it now. There is also a spiritual shift occurring in your environment. When one trap fails, opposition often retreats temporarily. You may notice a period of unusual calm. Do not misinterpret that calm as emptiness. It is restoration. It is recalibration. Use this calm to strengthen your foundation. Deepen your spiritual discipline. Clarify your goals. Reevaluate your inner circle. Authority grows in preparation. You may begin sensing that others look to you for advice more often. That is not accidental. When someone avoids a trap, they carry insight that others lack. Share wisdom gently. Do not force it. Speak when invited. If this message has opened your eyes to patterns you were unaware of before, if it has confirmed something you felt but could not articulate, then seal it publicly. Type "I walk in discernment" in the comments as a declaration that you refuse to repeat old cycles. Blessing code 808 is now activated over those who choose spiritual authority over impulsive action. The number 808 symbolizes cycles closing and new aligned pathways opening. As you declare it, you align yourself with divine timing and guarded transitions. And now hear this carefully. When you partner with messages like this, you extend protection beyond yourself. There are souls who are standing at similar crossroads right now, unaware that they are seconds away from entanglement. When you release a super thanks, join the membership, or so through the PayPal link in the description, you are not supporting content. You are strengthening a warning system that heaven uses to interrupt silent traps. Scripture declares, "The Lord will go before you and fight for you," and today that promise is alive over this mission. Your giving becomes seed. Seed becomes harvest. Harvest becomes rescue for someone who always stepped into irreversible delay. This is not a casual moment. This is a prophetic response. When you act now, you align yourself with obedience rather than hesitation. And obedience activates covering. Those who sow into protection will walk under protection. Those who strengthen the voice of warning will experience clarity in their own decisions. This is principle, not persuasion. Step forward boldly. Strengthen the reach. Expand the light. And watch how heaven expands stability in your own path. There is still more unfolding. Authority has awakened in you, but the next phase will require bold declaration over your future. What was almost lost must now be reclaimed with confidence, and you are about to understand how to seal this season permanently. Awakened soul, now that authority has been stirred within you, it is time to seal this shift with intentional alignment. Avoiding a trap is one level of victory. Establishing a new standard is another. What almost happened was not only about a single decision. It was a test of identity. Would you respond as your old self, or would you rise as the disciplined version you are becoming? You chose growth. That choice must now become consistent behavior. The spiritual atmosphere around you has changed because of your obedience. When you resisted urgency and embraced discernment, you signaled maturity in the unseen realm. Maturity unlocks trust. And when heaven trusts you with clarity, it entrusts you with greater opportunities. But sealing this season requires declaration. Not loud announcements to others, but firm commitments within yourself. Decide that pressure will never again rush you into agreement. Decide that peace will be your confirmation. Decide that confusion will be your signal to pause. The tragedy that was forming attempted to attach itself to your identity. It wanted to reinforce a narrative that you act emotionally under stress. It wanted to confirm a pattern of impulsive trust. But you interrupted that narrative. Now you must rewrite it. Archangel Michael's protective presence during this season symbolizes more than defense. It represents alignment with divine order. Order replaces chaos. Discipline replaces impulse. Clarity replaces confusion. You may notice that certain thoughts tried to resurface. Doubts like, what if I missed out? Or what if it would have worked? Those thoughts are echoes of temptation, not truth. When God protects you from misalignment, it is not loss. It is refinement. Trust that what is truly meant for you will not require desperation. There is a deeper blessing forming because of your restraint. Opportunities built on integrity are slower to appear, but stronger when established. You are being positioned for something sustainable, not something flashy. The enemy prefers quick excitement followed by long regret. God prefers patient preparation followed by lasting stability. In the coming days, you may face a smaller decision that seems insignificant. Treat it with the same discipline. Patterns are strengthened through repetition. Each time you choose clarity over speed, you reinforce your new identity. You are not the same person who would have rushed blindly. There's also an emotional healing taking place beneath the surface. By not entangling yourself in that previous situation, you avoided emotional exhaustion. That preserved energy will now fuel creativity and focus. You may feel new ideas surfacing, new motivation rising. That is the reward of avoided chaos. Use this renewed clarity wisely. Spend time reviewing areas where you previously felt unstable. Identify triggers that make you move too quickly. Awareness prevents repetition. You are being refined for leadership, whether visible or private. Leadership begins with self-governance. If you cannot govern your impulses, you cannot govern influence. This season is shaping you quietly. You may not see immediate fireworks, but internal strength is building. That strength will become visible when the right opportunity arrives. Others will sense your composure. They will notice that you are not easily swayed. That reputation will attract alignment. Be cautious not to swing into isolation. A sermon does not mean distrust of everyone. It means selective trust based on peace and consistency. There are still genuine connections meant for you. But now you will recognize them clearly. As this phase closes, reflect on how close you were to a different outcome. Not to create fear, but to cultivate gratitude. Gratitude strengthens wisdom. You were warned. You listened. You shifted. That sequence matters. The next phase will require not only discipline but boldness. There is something approaching that will require you to step forward confidently, not cautiously. The preparation you just underwent was necessary so that when bold action is required, it will be rooted in clarity rather than impulse. Boldness built on discernment is unstoppable. Prepare your mind for expansion. Prepare your heart for increase. Prepare your voice for declaration. Because the same God who warned you is now preparing to advance you. And what is coming next will test whether you truly trust divine timing over personal urgency. Courageous one, now we step into the moment where preparation meets action. Everything that has unfolded so far was not only about preventing loss. It was about building readiness. Readiness for expansion. Readiness for responsibility. Readiness for a door that will not wait forever once it opens. You were slowed down for protection. Now you must be strengthened for movement. There is a divine balance between caution and courage. Too much caution creates stagnation. Too much courage without discernment creates damage. What you have just experienced has recalibrated that balance inside you. You are no longer reacting from fear. You are no longer rushing from excitement. You are centered. That centering is power. Very soon, a conversation or opportunity will arise that feels different from the previous one. It will not pressure you. It will not manipulate your emotions. It will come with clarity and transparency. But here's the test. Will you hesitate because of what almost happened, or will you step forward because you recognize alignment? This is where boldness enters. Archangel Michael's symbolic presence in this season has shifted from defense to escort. You are not only being shielded from harm, you are being guided toward advancement. Protection cleared the path. Guidance will now move you along it. Do not let the memory of the near tragedy create fear of future action. That would mean the enemy still influences your movement indirectly. Instead, let the experience sharpen your wisdom and strengthen your confidence. There is something significant forming in your environment. It may not be obvious yet, but momentum is building quietly. A connection you thought was casual may become strategic. A skill you developed quietly may become valuable publicly. A door you assumed was closed may reopen under different terms. Be alert. Be ready. Be decisive when peace confirms it. The difference between the avoided situation and the upcoming one will be internal stability. You will not feel rushed. You will feel steady. That steadiness is your confirmation. There may also be people watching how you handle this next step. Your composure will speak louder than any explanation. When others see that you move thoughtfully but not fearfully, trust increases. Trust attracts opportunity. You are entering a phase where influence expands. Influence requires integrity. The warning you received earlier was about preserving that integrity before visibility increases. Now, if this message has been guiding you step by step, if you can see how each layer connects to your real-life circumstances, then engage with it actively. Like this video so that others who are facing silent crossroads receive clarity before consequences. Share it with someone who needs courage balanced with discernment. Comment below and declare that you are ready to move with bold wisdom. Subscribe to this channel and become part of a community that refuses both fear and impulsiveness. When you participate, you amplify this atmosphere of awareness. And here is something important. What comes next may require a quick yes, but this time, the quickness will not be emotional. You will be confident. There is a difference. Emotional quickness is reactive. Confident quickness is prepared. Preparation has already happened. You were tested in restraint so that you can be trusted in advancement. Do not overanalyze when peace is clear. Overthinking can sabotage alignment just as much as rushing can. There will be a moment when clarity feels undeniable. When that moment arrives, step forward. Do not shrink back into hesitation. Growth requires movement. At the same time, continue maintaining boundaries. Expansion does not mean access for everyone. As doors open, be selective about who walks through them with you. This is a turning point. The tragedy that almost formed was not meant to define your story. It was meant to test your readiness. You passed that test by listening. Now you must pass the next one by moving. The coming revelation will show you how to seal this entire season spiritually so that similar traps do not attempt to repeat in disguised forms. Because elevation attracts attention, and you must understand how to guard your progress even as you advance confidently. Resolute spirit, you are standing at the edge of a transformed chapter. What began as a warning has now become preparation for elevation. But before you step fully into what is ahead, You must seal this season spiritually and mentally. Elevation without sealing invites repetition. And you have not come this far to repeat old cycles in new forms. The tragedy that almost entered your life was not random. It was strategic. It studied your past patterns. It recognized your emotional triggers. It attempted to disguise itself in familiarity. Now that you have seen how subtle it was, you must commit to a new internal standard. Sealing this season means you no longer entertain pressure as proof of opportunity. It means you no longer equate urgency with importance. It means you no longer ignore discomfort for the sake of quick progress. Archangel Michael's symbolic role in your journey has shown you something powerful. Protection is active, but participation is required. You were shielded because you responded. That cooperation must continue even in times of peace. Elevation is approaching, and elevation attracts attention. Not all attention is negative, but not all attention is pure either. When growth becomes visible, opinions multiply, advice increases, invitations expand. Some will celebrate you sincerely. Others will approach with hidden agendas masked as support. Discernment must remain active. You are not to become suspicious of everyone, but you are to become selective with access. Access determines influence. Influence shapes direction. Direction determines outcome. The warning you received earlier was described as the last one for a reason. God does not intend to repeat lessons endlessly. When you demonstrate maturity, you graduate from repeated alerts. But graduation means responsibility. From this point forward, you are expected to recognize red flags sooner. You are expected to trust peace more quickly. You are expected to pause without needing external confirmation. It is growth. There may be moments in the coming weeks when a familiar feeling attempts to resurface. A subtle pressure, a flattering opportunity, a persuasive voice. When that happens, do not panic. Simply observe. Compare it to what you have learned. If it carries confusion, step back. If it carries peace, lean in. Your internal compass is stronger now. You also need to guard your thoughts carefully. The mind is the first battlefield. If doubt begins whispering that you overreacted or missed something beneficial, counter it with gratitude. You were protected. That is enough. Do not romanticize what God removed. There is something significant about to shift in your confidence. You will notice that you speak differently. You decide differently. You carry yourself differently. That quiet authority is the evidence of transformation. Others may sense it before you do. Let your actions reflect wisdom rather than explanation. You do not need to justify your boundaries to everyone. Your peace is justification enough. As elevation unfolds, humility must anchor you. Authority without humility becomes pride. Pride blinds discernment. Stay teachable. Stay reflective. Stay aligned. There is also a need to establish spiritual rhythm. Regular reflection. Consistent prayer. Intentional evaluation of decisions. These practices will prevent future traps from gaining momentum. You are not moving into a season of fear. You are moving into a season of strategic awareness. The avoided tragedy is now part of your testimony. It reminds you that divine timing overrides emotional urgency. It proves that listening matters. It confirms that protection is real. Soon, you will look back and realize how close you were to unnecessary delay. Instead of regret, you will feel gratitude. The next and final sealing of this message will require a declaration that closes this chapter permanently. You will affirm that from this day forward, you walk under clarity, not confusion. Under wisdom, not pressure. Under protection, not panic. Prepare your heart for that declaration, because what began as a warning is ending as empowerment. And the final confirmation will anchor this transformation so deeply that similar traps will no longer find easy access to your path. Chosen vessel, this is the sealing moment. What began as an urgent interruption is now a completed transformation. The warning that once felt intense now makes sense. The pressure that once confused you now reveals its purpose. You were not interrupted to be delayed. You were interrupted to be preserved. The tragedy that almost formed around you has dissolved because you responded with humility instead of pride. That response changed your trajectory. It shifted timing. It realigned outcomes. And most importantly, it strengthened your discernment. This is the last time this specific warning will be necessary. Not because danger will never attempt to approach again, but because you are no longer the same person who needs to be shaken awake. You are alert now. You are aware. You are disciplined. From this point forward, you walk differently. When urgency appears, you will measure it against peace. When pressure arises, you will pause instead of react. When opportunity knocks, you will evaluate alignment before excitement. This is maturity. Archangel Michael's symbolic presence throughout this journey represented divine defense at a critical crossroads. But now, the posture shifts. You are not standing at the edge of danger anymore. You are stepping into stability. There is something powerful about being warned and choosing obedience. It creates spiritual momentum. It establishes credibility in the unseen realm. It signals readiness for greater trust, and trust unlocks expansion. Very soon, you will encounter confirmation of everything you heard in this message. It may come as information revealed about someone's hidden intentions. It may come as a sudden realization of how complicated things would have become. When that confirmation arrives, do not react with anger. Respond with gratitude. You were spared. Let gratitude anchor you. There is also a blessing tied to this obedience. Because you listened when it was urgent, clarity will come more easily in your next decisions. You will not need dramatic warnings each time. A gentle whisper will be enough. That is growth. Seal this season with declaration. Type "I walk under divine clarity" in the comments if you are closing the door to impulsive decisions forever. Blessing code 1212 is now activated over your path. The number 1212 symbolizes alignment and forward movement under divine order. As you declare it, you affirm that confusion has no authority over your choices. Pressure has no control over your timing. Panic has no place in your progress. This chapter is sealed. And now hear this with seriousness. The same God who interrupted your path to save you is still speaking through this mission to reach others who are seconds away from irreversible decisions. When you respond after receiving protection, you do not respond casually. If this message shielded you, then you understand its weight. Scripture declares, "I will command my angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways." That promise is living and active right now. And when you sow into the spreading of His word through super thanks, membership, or through the PayPal link in the description, you are not giving to a platform. You are strengthening a lifeline for souls standing at silent crossroads. This is your moment of obedience. I am inviting you directly. Step into partnership with this divine warning system. Let your giving become seed that multiplies clarity in others. What you release will return as protection, stability, and increase over your own house. Do not hesitate. Act now. Strengthen the mission. Expand the reach. And walk forward knowing that because you listened, Disaster was turned into direction, and warning became elevation.